I don't think many people actually have any idea where their motivation comes from, because like answering why is very difficult. And so we know that we have a lot of independent variables that created a behavior set that increase the odds of achievement. Can we have a double-blind placebo-controlled study to say, like, was it because your dad didn't hug you too much, or he hugged you too hard, or it was for this period of time, or it was because somebody at school said a certain thing, or a teacher treated you a certain way? It's like yes, and all of it, and none of it. I think that from a drive perspective, I see motivation as the equal opposite of deprivation. So like, what are the things that we feel like we lack? And so like, if you're super hungry, it's because you lack food. If you're very driven to sleep, you're sleep deprived. And so having some sort of desire is, like, I think key to having drive. Like you feel like there's some lack that you want to fill or achieve. But for me, I think I do think it shifts. And so I think that like the nature of the motivation can change. And I'll give you a really dark example, but I think it really drives the point home. So Albert Camus, who's one of my favorite philosophers, says the meaning of your life is the reason you don't kill yourself, which people at face value, because you say the word, kill yourself, people get really triggered by that. But it's more so, I think it has a very positive slant to it, which is that if someone truthfully answers the question, they're like, well, I couldn't because like my family, my friends, my team, the company. And so I think the meaning for a lot of people's life isn't just one thing, it could be many things. And said differently, instead of like, what is the meaning of your life? If you say, what does your life mean to you? It kind of brings on different thoughts around the topic. And so, why are you so driven? I feel like has similar kind of undertones to like, what is the meaning of your life, or what does your life mean to you? What does your work mean to you? I think answering that question can get a little bit closer at something that's more tangible. And so for me, I do things I like with people I like, and that's what I try to maximize. And a lot of people say this, but like, I really believe that the middle path has been is my current flow right now, which is that I made enough that I really didn't need to work for, when I was about 31. At that point, I was like, I really don't need to do anything. So it took about a year, and in that period of time, my conclusion was, because I just, I'd come off of a big work season, and then I took basically that year off, and I knew that taking the year off was not for me. I needed to do stuff, and so then I came up with like hard work is the goal. That became my like operating, my MO, and I've done that for probably 5 years now since then. And I would say that I'm now in another kind of like post-launch cycle, where I have a little bit, like, obviously I didn't sell the company or anything like that, but like I have a little bit of a period of kind of reflection. And so for me, I think that the beauty of entrepreneurship, or at least life, exists in the contrast. And so like when you're single, you want to be married. When you're married, you want to be single. Obviously I'm taking that in, just extremes. There's desires on both sides, right? In the same degree, like when you're working a ton, you're like, I just want a day off. But when you take a lot of days off, you're like, I just can't wait to get back to work. And so it's like we are the problem, right? And so if we are never satisfied, even when we get what we want something different. It's really just the desire for novelty. And so then it's like, okay, how can I engineer novelty into my day-to-day existence? And so contrast is in the word that I've been thinking a lot about, which then comes down to like, Buddha's middle path. Like it's, and I think that balancing the middle is actually significantly harder than doing the extremes. Like in the beginning, you can't do anything because you're not motivated. You have to figure out like the basics, right? But once you start working, you get rewarded for working, and then you just basically, most people go all the way to the other side and just work all the time. And that's I have no judgment of should and should not, just kind of like observation. But for me, coming back to like how much skill is required, I think there's more skill that's required to basically design a cadence around ideal or optimal living. And for some people that will be less work than others. For me, it's probably more work than most people do in their maxed out state. But I know that if I have a handful of things that occur on a weekly basis or monthly basis, I kind of maintain that contrast, so that gives me the longevity to pursue significantly longer goals that are more meaningful to me. So it's a long-winded answer for me.